Today we're going to talk about Tides of Time, which is a card game where each player is trying to build an empire that is going to be torn down at the end of each era, except for one part of it. And then you'll rebuild. And at the end of each era, you're going to score, and at the end, we'll see who has the most points. It's pretty simple, so let's just move into talking about it. So this is Tides of Time. This is a two-player game with card drafting, hand management kind of mechanics, where you're going to be passing your hand of these cards with different things you can build back and forth between the two players as you build your empire. And each player is trying to build combinations that are going to give them the most points. The game comes in this box, and this is what you get with it. There's one copy of this player aid card, and it's two-sided, which is kind of weird to me. I'm not sure why there aren't two for, one for each player, but you only get one. We have these tokens for marking relics of the past, and we'll talk about those when we get into the end of a round. And then a score pad for when we're going to score at the end of each round. So most of the game is these cards. They're these nice big cards, as you can see. And they have really nice artwork on them. Each card has a suit, the name of that particular building, and then some kind of a power. And almost all of these powers are the way that you're going to score points with this card. So, for example, this one is, in this leaf suit, and it tells you for having the majority of crown suits, you're going to score 7 points at the end of the round. So you'll want to acquire as many of these in the round as you can so that you have the majority, so you'll score these 7 points. But you'll notice that each of these also has things that are going to offer you points. So, this one is having the most of these little castles will give you 7 points. For each scroll card, you'll score 3 points. So depending on what cards you have in your hand at the beginning of the round, you're going to be trying to decide what combinations of things you can come up with to score points. And then there are also 3 cards that are like this one that don't score points. They just have a power. So, for example, this one is you win all ties. So in one of these cases where we're talking about having majority, that could be a big deal for you, because now if the two of you are tied in your numbers of these suits, you win the tie, so you're going to get 7 points. Or vice versa, if your opponent would have otherwise scored points, they don't. So at the start of the game, each player is going to get 5 cards. So if this is your starting hand, for example, you're going to have to decide what strategy you want to pursue. Do you want to win all the ties and go ahead and just play this right away? Or do you take a look at the suits that you've got available to you? Like, there are 3 crowns here, so you might go ahead and play this card here that will give you points for having the majority of crowns, and hope that you'll be able to collect at least 2 of these before your opponent does, but that might not be possible. So you have to think a lot about what strategy you're going to pursue right off the bat. And the problem is that you don't know what 5 cards your opponent has, because you could play, the majority of crowns card and discover that these were the only 3 crowns in the entire round, and your opponent plays one of them, and then they're going to end up probably having the majority of crowns and deny you those points. So you really have to think about what strategy you're going to pursue in this game. So you'll pick one of these cards to build. So let's say you decide you want to win all ties. So you put this card face down to let your opponent know that you've made your decision. And then you'll pass them the 4 cards that you decided not to play. you'll both reveal the card that you're choosing to play, and you'll take the 4 cards that your opponent gives you, and now you look to see what cards your opponent passed your way. Oh, and they've passed you, you know, towers and a hand and this card that lets you double the amount of whichever suit you have the least of. So there weren't any other crowns in the round, and now you're probably pretty glad that you didn't go with that card to start with. So you'll pick one of these cards to play, and then you pass those 3 cards to your opponent, and you'll get 3 cards back. And you keep going like this until you both play the last card that comes back to you. So at the end of the round, you will have built 5 cards. So let's say these are the 5 that we've ended up with at the end of this card drafting back and forth. So we win all of our ties. We're doubling the amount of our most numerous suits. We have 1 in 4 different suits. So that means that we effectively have 2 in all of these suits. We're getting 3 points for each leaf that we've built, which is 1, so we're going to get 3 points there. For having the majority of crowns, we have 2 and our opponent has 2, because we're doubling the amount that we have. But we're winning the ties, so we're going to get our 7 points there. And then, for having the majority of scrolls, we get 7 points, and we have the majority of scrolls also. So we're getting 17 points this round, which is pretty decent. At this point, each player is going to pick up the 5 cards they've built. And you're going to take a look at these and make 2 decisions. You need to decide which one of these you want to keep in play for the rest of the game. And that card you're going to mark with one of these Relic of the Past tokens. So, do we want to win all ties for the rest of the game? Do we want to double the amount of our most numerous suit? Do we want to continue to pursue majorities in crowns or scrolls? Or just getting points for playing leaf cards? So you have to make that decision. And in this case, it's kind of hard, but in other cases, you might be playing like a longer game if you're trying to, for example, get one of each suit for 13 points. You might want to keep this in play at the beginning of the game if you started with it, and each round be aiming at trying to get one of every suit into play so that you can get your 13 points each round. And there are other ways, there are other cards that are like that. So, we pick one of these, and we're going to place it face down so that our opponent doesn't know what we've decided to keep. And then you're going to take a look at the 4 cards that you have left in your hand and decide which one of these cards you want to remove from the game permanently. So one of these cards isn't going to come back. So let's say you decide, I want to get rid of this Majority of Scrolls card because I'm not expecting to see the Majority of Scrolls anytime soon. So you've got 3 cards set aside, 1 card that you're removing from the game that's face down, and 1 card that you're keeping in play that's face down. You and your opponent each reveal which card you've removed from the game, and you each reveal which card you're keeping in the game forever with your little tile to mark it as your Relic of the Past that's staying in the game. Cards that have been removed go away. You'll pick up the 3 cards that you have left over, and then you're going to draw 2 cards off of the top of the deck so that you have a hand of 5 again. And then you go right back into the game the same way you played it the first time. You're going to decide which one of these 5 cards you're going to build, and then pass the rest to your opponent, and keep going like that. When you've got 6 cards in play at the end of this second round. You're going to pick up the 5 that don't have tokens on them, like this one. You're going to keep one of them in play forever with another Relic of the Past token. You're going to remove another one from the game. And then you're going to pick up 2 more cards each. Then you'll do this one last time, going back and forth with this card drafting mechanic until you have 7 cards in front of you. And that's the end of the game. You go ahead and score one last time and tally up who has the most points from each of the 3 rounds to see who the winner is. I build those gods' baths. Big fan of that card. Oh, what's your card let you do?
Majority in suits with only 1 card, gain 8 points.
Oh, okay. Citadel of the Prophets. Let's see. The Eye of the North. I guess I'll do that. The Sky Pillars. Okay, well, I guess that's obviously what I build, since that's the only card I have. Okay, so let's score this thing. So we get 3 for 1 tower, 3 for 1 leaf.
Sorry, I'm gonna grab a pencil real quick.
No worries. 11, because I have a set of leaf and scroll. We're tied on leaves, so I don't have majority. So I don't get points for that. And then suits I don't have. I don't have any crowns.
That's it.
And that's it. So I have 14 points.
21.
Okay. And I am not attached to any of these. Stay in play.
Yeah. Alright.
Like, none of those is a clear I need to put that back in play card. What do I want to remove? This is a good question. I'll keep that in play. I'm going to remove that card, I guess. Do we not reveal what we removed? Was I wrong about that in the video? I'm pretty sure we reveal what we removed.
I don't care, so.
I removed the one that's each suit you don't have, and you removed for each hand. Right. And we both removed towers, so that's good.
Draw 2.
Yeah. Hopefully make my decision much better. Oh, what did you keep in play forever?
The Molehill.
Which is the one where you score points for having only one card in suits. That's really good. I guess I'm going to play that. Yeah. See if I can make it happen. The Maze of the Damned. Terrible. Well, I think I have to build that. The Eternal Palace. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, not going to go well. It's going to be a really bad round for me. I'll go ahead and do that. The Citadel of the Prophets. Terrible. Okay. 6. 7 more. Okay, so 13 for me. Yep. Gonna be really bad. Yeah, like it makes no difference. Do that, and I'm gonna do that. And then draw my 2 cards, and hopefully pull something off in this last round. What do you remove? Okay. Well, there you go. What'd you keep in play? Oh, yeah, you're going to score a lot of points with that too. Okay, so, yeah. Terrible. Okay. Yeah, that's what I have to do. Yep. And that's the only tower, isn't it? Yep, okay. I'm screwed. Well, you win. Like, the game just ended. This illustrates perfectly everything that I think is bad about this game, so it's good.
Okay.
Nine. 16. 18, 19. $24.
What was your highest scoring card?
7.
Okay, I got 30.
Yeah.
So my final score was 71.
Yeah.
And yours was
40 something. 50? I might have crossed.
53.
Yeah, 50. At no point even remotely close. So, Tides of Time. I don't really like this game, and neither does Sean. It's mostly just really average to us. It has some mechanics that we really like, but just overall it feels really flat to me. And I think a lot of that is the theme. Just the way that, you know, you're building an empire, and at the end of each of these, like, epics, you get to the end, and everything gets torn down except for one building, and then you're rebuilding, but, you know, you're going to build some of the buildings that you built before, and your opponent's going to build some of them, and you'll build some of your opponents. It's just kind of really weird and immaterial to me, I guess. It doesn't feel like I'm actually doing anything. You know, the bonuses that you can get seem pretty arbitrary, just depending on, you know, what you kind of randomly happen to have available to you. There's a little bit of strategy, but so much of the game is random. It reminds me a ton of a game called Fairy Tale, where you're each playing, like, armies of fairies, and in the same way the cards score and have different suits, and different powers. But in Fairy Tale, you know, that theme seems to fit this style a lot more. And each card had powers, so every time you were playing a card, you were changing the field, and causing things to happen. So I kind of just wish there was more going on in Tides of Time, that you had powers that were associated with these things as well as a way to score, and that helped you to effectively build an engine, because that's kind of what you're doing in this game, right? You're building a really short engine to score points, and then you lose it, and then you're going to rebuild it or build a new one, and then it's going to get torn down, and then you build your final engine to try to score points, and hopefully over the course of the game you've managed to, you know, pull things together to do well. But I don't know, it doesn't work for me on a lot of levels. I think the art is really nice. You know, the cards are really nice. It's good quality components. It's mostly just the mechanics there and the theme that are really flat and don't land with me. If I was going to give this a rating, I'd give it like a 4.75. That's about where Sean is on it too. You know, it's just not not a game that we would play a lot, and I can't recommend it to you, but, you know, if it looks interesting to you, check it out, because you might really like this. If you like kind of the mechanical style of this, but the theme doesn't work for you, you might look at Fairy Tail, because, you know, it's really similar mechanically, it's more complex. I think the art in some of the editions is really good on that. And I would probably give it a little bit of a higher rating for me personally. But, you know, your mileage may vary. So check it out if you want. And have a good one.